Hello! I'm Thirsty, we're the Bloodthirsty Puppets. This is Monday Night's Get Nuked, and this is Rotten Under Ooze Town. Once again, our lovely friends are in the desolation. I'll just move the map back to the correct place, because we had it in the wrong place for the game the other day. So, yeah, excellent. Professional. Bam. Right, there we are. So, we will be returning to our lovely friends in Bungo's House of Boys, in the first room on the left on the stairs, with its little nameplate reading Kurt, and the eponymous Kurt, as we will probably no doubt recall, is hanging from the ceiling, with his belt binding his ankle to his thick leather choker. Now, who's in the room? Who are you people?
Yes, I'm Spanners, I'm playing Timmy, and I might have dangled him half naked from the ceiling. Yeah, might have. This might be all of my doing. But we were on a rescue mission, so...
Are you?
Sort of.
Are you just being a vicious bastard?
We're trying to rescue Herbert, theoretically.
You're trying to rescue Herbert, theoretically.
I think we were trying to rescue you. We were a little bit concerned that you were being intimate with our friend who's now dangling from the ceiling.
So yes, that brings us nicely to the second player. Who are you? Who are you playing? What's going on?
I'm Eivor, and I'll be playing Zeke, who may or may not have spiked a large man's drink and persuaded him to go to a private secluded area whilst being molested along the way.
Just to be clear, who was being molested along the way?
I'm pretty sure Zeke was.
Okay, there we are. Yes, Kurt, the large, handsy gentleman. Now, the more perceptive of you will notice that Lilith's not here. Boo. But on the other hand, we have Spanners back, so hooray! So yes, for the purposes of this particular evening, Anita will be briefly controlled by me before probably buggering off for a little while. So yeah, let's dive back in. You are in Ooze Town. You are in, I think it's the northeast corner of the
Rules.
Oh yes, rules for chat. Well, I told you, you know them. You can read them.
Okay. Right, so don't be at all about someone's gender, don't be at all about someone's race, don't be at all, or a screwdriver.
Yes, that's for the ladies and gentlemen and others in chat. Because I always forget the chat rules. Always forget them. And if you look back at the previous episodes, I occasionally even have changed them without notice. And elaborated and added extras. Which are all in the spirit of the thing, but not necessarily in the letter. But yes, there we have rules. So yes, you're in the northeast corner of the Merchant Quarter in Ooze Town, a wonderful little port full of scum and villainy and whores. You're in one of the 3 brothels in that corner of the Merchant's Quarter. Having attained a quick preview of what Bungo's House of Boys had to offer, Zeke still went inside despite being very uncomfortable. And having received 2 tokens from people outside hawking their wares at different times, elaborating slightly. He still told the others that they should go back there in an attempt to find someone who might know where Big Bill, Big Al's lieutenant, or nephew, might be hiding here. He went there to try and flush out some answers.
We did indeed. I think before we start interrogating this lovely chap hanging from the ceiling, Zeke and I might want to make use of some of our session points. And do some more shopping.
That is a very, very good point. So yes, you are going to stand there and feel, well, let's frame this narratively, shall we? You hang a man from the ceiling. One of the rings you've hung him on breaks through and brings a chunk of ceiling with it. You hear the wet slapping from above, which was elaborated on last week. Last month even, maybe. I'm not really sure. And Anita goes, I'll go and deal with that. And steps out. You watch this massive bear of a man hanging, dressed only from the knees down, which are curiously now level with his head, so possibly the knees up.
I'm pretty sure his pants around ankles.
Yes, his pants around ankles, but his knees are in the air. His ankles are bound to the back of his neck, so it's a curious question logistically as to whether his pants are up or down. But yes, and I'm not sure if we elaborated on whether he was wearing any form of underwear. So enjoy that thought. So yes, as you stand there, full of a sense of achievement, you take a breath. You consider what your adventure so far has taught you, and we spend some session points.
Yeah. Eivor, do you want to go first?
Yep. From my 6, I'm going to spend 2 for a new rank in sneak, having so adequately snuck around and poisoned this guy.
Yeah, that's legit.
I feel that Zeke is improved in his stealth abilities, and alongside that, the beatings that he's weathered, mostly due to his own stupidity.
What beatings has he weathered?
Several minor injuries.
He fell into a quarry. He
fell off a ship.
He fell off a ship and he got bitten.
And there have been a couple of things, because I am next to dead.
Yeah. Fair enough. You've apparently had the crap beaten out of you in small installments.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
With that, I think some extra durability in the form of some more hit points wouldn't go amiss.
Yes. You dig deep and find a wellspring of strength within yourself.
And that is a 3.
Excellent.
Bringing my total to 20.
Nice. Which we can elaborate is why you haven't passed out yet.
Yeah.
You may have been slowly beaten to death by the world, but apparently you're fine at the moment.
And for the last 2, I'm going to try and push my dexterity with the sneaking and the sleight of hand that's gone on.
Okay.
So I'll use the last 2 for that, which is a 3 and a 2, taking my dex to a total of 40.
Nice. Yeah. We'll allow that, You've spent a fair amount of time, slipping drugs into people's drinks and, slipping through crowds who are trying to beat each other senseless.
And also making away with bottles of scented water.
I believe you were given the bottles of scented water in an attempt to cover up your foul stench, but fair enough.
Given one, and then I hid the large one behind my back as we left.
Okay, fair enough. I'll accept that answer. So yes, you feel that you feel your recent experiences have made you tougher and sneakier. You've basically learned the lessons of the late 80s. You got a thicker skin and a better ability to deceive people and lie and sneak. Foreclose on houses, probably. I don't know. Anyway, so yes, Zeke has become a more sneaky and despicable human being. So, what about Timi?
Right. So Timi is going to spend 2 and add another rank to torture because she is fucking terrifying.
Yes, she did in fact nail someone's testicles to a box
She did.
last month. So fair enough.
Also threatened to take somebody's skin off their finger to unsheath it, and she took she's wearing an ear. As
She
well.
is. Yeah.
So
Also, you witnessed up close a torturing when those people were beating you, and went, "That's what they're doing wrong." And
Yep.
this, and that, and ow, it is actually quite hurting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you witnessed 2 tortures, because your mate was shot in the face at the end of his torture.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And I stuck a nail under someone's kneecap too. So,
Yeah, you did. So, yeah,
Yeah.
entirely justified.
and to go with that, because I've kind of seen the inside of a lot of people, I feel I now know a lot about the inside of the human body. Mainly because I keep taking the insides back out again, so I'd like a rank in knowledge.
Have you seen the inside of a lot of people?
Well,
You saw one guy get his head blown off.
Yeah, and I discovered the torture marks on the back of the severed head of Roger, and I can
Sure.
remember his name.
Yeah. Yeah, screw it. Why not? That seems justified enough. Yeah.
And I think my final session point, which takes me then down to 0, is going to be a D4 on charisma.
Because there's nothing people like more than a sadistic maniac.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, we're going to get a 4.
Nice.
Which puts me up to 32.
Excellent. So now, newly honed, having reflected upon your recent accomplishments, having stood back and watched this large, hairy man with his own name tattooed on his buttocks dangle from the creaking, protesting rings still set in the ceiling. He starts to stir a little. You know, you gave him a full shot of intravenous morphine by mouth, but it makes you sick and momentarily fucked over. But you didn't actually give him enough to knock someone out for long. It's absorbed very quickly, and he's clearly feeling a little ill. In fact, probably quite considerably ill, but he's a very large chap.
So we wanted to find out where Bill was really.
Yeah.
Although
recall that you were also asked by Captain Morgan to find out what's been happening to the Salties who've been going missing.
I thought she wanted Bill to be brought back though. Or is this a double mission?
Various people have asked you to do various things, I seem to recall. I mean, she doesn't particularly mind if you happen to do horrible things to Bill and, drag him into her presence so he can confess his crimes himself, but if he happens to die and someone else tells you the correct information...
I don't know. Let's torture it up.
So yes, Kurt, hanging from the ceiling, a length of rope looped through his belt, which is tied to his ankles, and his choker, which, if you recall, his choker has the word Kurt in shiny silver lettering on the front. He seems a little enamoured of himself, it would be fair to say.
Is there a chair in the room?
No. Most of the room is occupied by cushions. There is there's a sideboard and curtains and shelves, but there's not really any sort of solid furniture in the room, apart from obviously the big sideboard. Yeah, but the walls are made of wood generally. There's sort of bits of corrugated iron and God knows what, but generally wood.
Okay. And the sideboard, does it have drawers?
Yes.
Okay. So as Kurt is waking up and coming to, what I'm going to do is to start taking the drawers out of the sideboard and just kind of stacking them one after the other so they end up just touching underneath his knees and just kind of supporting him, so they're being pushed backwards a little bit, which is just tipping his head forward and just putting a little bit of pressure on the collar.
Okay.
And is he awake yet?
He's sort of stirring. You know, his eyes are sort of fluttering a little. The snores that previously were regular are a little more laboured and a little less, a little more panicky.
So I'm going to turn to Zeke and say, so, do you want to wake your mates up then?
All right then. I'll sort of go around to the head end and give him just a quick slap to wake him up.
Okay. Are you going to? Is this a purely medicinal slap to wake up a knocked out person, or is this you fucking asshole? You threw me on a bed and stripped.
For now, it's a purely medicinal.
Okay,
wakey time slap.
Okay, it's a notional medicinal sort of lightly instructional slap. So yeah, you fuck it. Roll just to make sure you don't botch or something.
8.
8. Yeah, you land a slap. You know, on his left cheek. Why not? It leaves the little like finger lines, but it doesn't break the skin. It's not going to leave a bruise or anything. His eyes sort of roll around a little. He's clearly coming to.
Oh, okay. As he's coming to, I think I'm going to sort of drop down to be level with him. Sort of give him a look in the eyes and say, a friend of mine's got some questions for you. I suggest you answer them. She's not the most pleasant of people to be withholding information from. Sort of as soon as he's like round enough to get what I'm saying.
Give me an intimidation. Give me an intimidate, because it's definitely a power move to slap someone in the face, kneel down in front of them and go, answer the questions.
Well, this can't go wrong, I'm sure. 7. 3 on the dice, plus, 7.
Okay. Despite it all, despite the drugs, despite the knocking out, despite being hung from the ceiling, he quirks an eyebrow and chuckles a little. You've clearly failed to intimidate this fellow. He, hanging people from ceilings naked is what he does for fun.
Okay, so Timmy's going to have noticed this. She's clearly not going to have heard the chuckle, but she can read the body language. And she's going to extract the needle that was previously piercing the slightly now rotted ear in her pocket, which still has a thread on it. And she's just going to whistle a little bit. She's just sort of like... and goes around the back, where his legs... and just pushes the needle through the skin on the back of his thigh, and then through the skin on the back of the other thigh, and just ties a knot. Answer the question, mate.
What's going on? Oh, what was that? What's she doing?
You don't need to know what she's doing, but we need to know where is Big Al?
It's Bill.
Bill. we need to know where Bill is, and sort of where to find him on various evenings in case one were to need to make a visit to him. And I'm sure all this can be dealt with civilly, if you catch my drift.
Well, it's my night off. I don't know.
Don't know.
Not on duty.
Oh, off we go then. And Tim's just going to put another stitch through each thigh and just pull the string so his legs are just ding.
Each time the needle like touches the back of his thigh, he twitches. Like, it's not. It's probably not something. It's probably not something he's ever engaged in before. Like this sort of, the piercing of the skin as a form of play or any other sort of experience. He's been tattooed, but you notice he has no piercings. So he's quite uncomfortable with this whole sort of experience. But you are just sticking a needle through quickly. It's not the most horrific, and I don't want to say torturous because you are torturing him, but it's not the most torturous thing he's ever endured. He's just scared.
But perhaps you should start a bit higher up towards this end.
Marvellous. Gets the idea. Pops another one in. And as she asks the next question, she says, so you might want to tell us where Bill is, and just takes either end of the string and pulls it. Just pulls it across, and then lifts. Just so the skin's just being pulled away from the muscle just a little bit. Not tearing yet.
Give me a torture roll.
16.
Yeah, there's for anyone who's ever spent any time around pigs, there's a particular sort of squeal where you know that they're really fucked. Kurt makes this squeal. It's a wild, panicked animal noise. He doesn't manage to clamp down on it fast enough. Anyone in this situation would probably make a similar noise. Zeke, being in front and probably still at eye level, notices tears forming. This is a large, tough, proud fellow, but this fucking hurts. In a way that he hadn't anticipated.
Timmy's not going to have heard this, but obviously gets the idea.
Yeah.
But just decides to make it that little bit worse because she's in the background, just going, just pulling the string.
What's the string made of?
I think it was meant to be embroidery thread that we got picked up from the salties.
Oh no, it was net fixing thread, wasn't it? Oh fucking hell, that's gonna hurt like Jesus. Sawing that through a wound is gonna hurt like a bastard. Oh, so it's like some like big, thick, rough twine. Oh god, yeah.
It was quite a big needle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but there's stabbing and there's motion burn inside your skin. Ooh. So yeah. Kurt's eyes beat up. He starts whinging and sort of whining inarticulately at this point. I mean, it probably doesn't help that you've got something crushing his throat. You're trying to ask him questions, but which is why his voice hasn't been as large and booming as previous. He's just in Zeke's face, swinging backwards and forwards slightly as you change the tension on the strings. Like, stop! I don't know. Let me down.
See, do you want to find out what happened to the salties? I'm a bit busy over this way. Maybe you could ask him a few questions. Roger might want to know.
All right. Yeah, we've been asked by certain individuals to find what's happening to their friends.
I don't
Certain
fucking know.
seafarers might who might come into contact with your boss that might be going missing. So, yeah, what's to do with this then?
I don't know. I'm a bodyguard, not a kidnapper. I mean,
Just
you
sort
know,
of
it's
give
acquisitions. You know, don't talk to me.
Yeah, I'll give sort of Timmy the nod over his shoulder to carry on.
Yeah, so Timmy puts another stitch in, pulls it a bit tighter, and then just. Surely we haven't got much further up.
There's definitely one way that we can all walk out of here, and all you need to do is say the words.
I'm just a bodyguard. I work close protection. I check drinks. I screen visitors. I don't.
Okay then, just a bodyguard. Where's Bill likely to be tonight if you don't know exactly where he's going to be?
Well, boy likes brothels. You know,
And does he have a favourite?
he likes over at butts. I mean, I don't know. He might not be there, but he likes it there.
This
It's where his favourites are.
At this venture, I think Zeke is going to sort of unsling Tilly, the rifle at his back, and just sort of check the chambers clear and ask him again. Are you completely sure about that?
Give me an intimidate. If you're actually going to sew this person's orifices shut and intimidate him from the front with a gun, you're going to need to give me extra dice rolls here.
I'm going to use a legendary point to re-roll that one for a crit.
Okay. Yeah. You. I can't even remember what kind of rifle Tilly is. Big old
Sort
single
of a
shot
bolt action rifle. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You pull the bolt back. You open it up. You know, round pops out. You sit there like, holding this. Because I seem to remember. Tilly fires a fairly hefty round, doesn't she? Yeah. Is Tilly high powered? I can't remember.
We hadn't given it any special rules. It was just sort of a normal hunting type rifle.
Well, yeah, it's a hunting rifle. You're sitting there holding a bullet that's considerable, if not, you know. But then you got to remember this is the south of England. People don't know an awful lot about guns. You know, you're sitting there holding a big old rifle bullet. You know, to a seasoned rifle like expert, it might just be like, what are you doing with that? You know, it's pointless. It's worthless. But to a bloke who does most of his business with a cudgel, you're sitting there like waving a 5.56 in his face or something, and he's just like, you know, you pop the bullet out, and you point it out to him, and you show him the jacketing on it. It's like, can you imagine how much that would hurt? You know. Fuck it. For the sake of argument, you have a 5.56 rifle, and you sit there and you start to describe how a 5.56 round tumbles as it enters the body. How you've had, and you describe like one of your proudest hunting stories. We had to dig the bullet back out, and you found this wonderful twisting pathway through, and as you do, his eyes grow wider, his pupils smaller, his pupils retract in panic. You didn't think it worked that way, but apparently. every facial feature he has that can retract in panic is, his nostrils cease to flare. He's too afraid to be afraid. He's well, why not? You notice a pattering sound. And unfortunately no one's in the splash zone, but a combination of having his thighs tortured, being suspended from a ceiling, having recently been drugged, and having someone wave a goddamn gun in his fucking face all conspired to be too much for Kurt to retain the contents of his bladder. And, a little bit of pee comes out. Followed by a bit more. Until, he just looks ashamed. He's scared and ashamed and in pain. He's hanging from a ceiling. The rings are still creaking in the ceiling quite badly. But just the wet slapping from above has stopped. You're not sure what Anita's gone upstairs and done, but apparently no one's listening from upstairs.
So, do we have everything we need here?
He's not told me anything yet. He's just gone and pissed himself. So I take it you'll be letting us know what we need to know then.
Yep. What do you need to know? Tell me.
Where's Bill gonna be tonight?
I don't know. I do not know. Ask them in Butts. He goes there a lot. Go in. Ask for Daniel and Jasmine.
Okay.
They're his favourites.
And what about our seafaring friends? You sure you don't know anything about them?
No, Bill doesn't deal with them. He, who wants to... I mean, he tries to look around again. Like, you've mentioned you're friends with Salties, and there's a woman behind him doing horrible things. Things that, might conceivably have been done with net fixing materials, or sail fixing materials. He just, he's hanging by his neck. You can't pivot on the point of your neck and see behind you.
To look around, Timmy's going to tie a nice neat knot at the end of the thread, and just pull the needle so that the knot is now against his flesh, and just to put one final stitch right at the top of his thighs and just pull the needle. Answer the question, mate.
Just leave me alone. I just get whores for the fat fuck. Leave me alone. I test drinks and find whores. That's all I do.
Okay, you want us to stop, yeah?
Yes. Let me down.
At this point in the conversation, you see Zeke reloading the rifle. And do I believe that he's told me everything that he has to say? Is like everything that he knows?
He's answered the questions you've asked. Is probably the most I would say. And yes,
Okay.
that is trademark GM speak.
Okay.
Okay.
There are clearly questions you haven't asked that he probably would know the answers to if you were going to, say, try and find out more about Al's operation.
He's got quite shiny collars. Zeke, have we asked this dude about what he does up on the hill? Has he been up there? Has he seen Herbert?
Um, yeah, I think that's a good question to ask. So yeah, what have your mates up on the hill got against Scuzzles?
What?
I, I'm looking for a Scuzzle that was taken from me. It's a good friend of mine's brother. So
Oh,
I've heard tell that on the hill,
a scuzzle. What the fuck's a scuzzle?
at such a point, I'll sort of gently tease the sleeping Jerry out of my bag, and
Jesus Christ! What the fuck is that?
one of these. You've not seen one of these before?
Just, I mean, like, you know, you're wearing one as a hat, right?
Zeke shoots him in the face.
Oh, roll just so it's not a botch.
It's a 1, but
It's not a botch.
no.
Yeah, yeah. How do you shoot him in the face at close range with a long rifle?
I just sort of put Jerry back into my backpack gently and take it a suitable step back and sort of rest it. Just rest the barrel here, and then pull the trigger.
Yeah. Roll for damage. Roll for damage. How give me an impression of how explosive this ending is.
So I can't see that I've not bobbed down the damage.
D10.
D10. What's the name? 6.
Plus your big guns.
Plus my big guns. 6 plus 4.
10. Yeah. So yeah, you step back. You jam the gun against his head, sort of very very clumsily. You're, I assume, very angry. What's your motivator here? I mean, I know you've just shot a guy. You're shooting a man in the head, but what are you feeling in this moment? Or is this just an irrational moment of what?
This was Zeke disbelieving that no one that he hadn't been onto the hill and didn't know where Herbert was,
Okay.
and was not for giving him a second chance at honesty.
Okay, so it's entirely unreasonable rage. Okay, so yeah, you step back in your rage. You just ram the muzzle of the gun in the rough direction of his face, and when it hits something, you pull the trigger. The part of the face you actually end up hitting is the bridge of his nose, right here. Being that he's hanging as well, you hit him on the bridge of the nose, and he actually swings away. And by the time you've pulled the trigger, you actually blow this part of his face in, which has a name, which I can never remember. Philtrum, I seem to recall. Which, of course, you shot someone straight on in the face with a high-powered rifle. His face essentially collapses. His bottom jaw drops. His throat bursts. Actually, this could be an interesting one. I am going to make a physical endurance save for Kurt. And this is important. He botches! Oh god. Yeah. At which point the round tears out of his body between his shoulder blades and hits Timi. Now, Assuming the body has slowed down the bullet quite a lot, I shall roll for damage. It's only 3 damage. Don't worry. It hurts. But,
Is it mitigated?
Yeah, it's mitigated. It's you're literally standing directly behind someone who's just been shot at close range with a high-powered rifle.
Okay.
The round bursts through him, like skims over the top of one of your shoulders or something.
Cucumber, at this point, with endurance saves, if I'm taking 3 points of damage and my physical endurance is 4, is it a minimum of 1 point of damage you have to take?
Minimum of 1 damage. And it's just your straight endurance, it's not your endurance physical.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You just take 1 point of damage, you just go like, fuck! This tumbling bullet, it's basically just like burst out through one of his shoulder blades, and a spinning piece of metal has hit you in the shoulder.
So as that hits Timi, she's going to kind of like spin, but she's going to keep hold of the needle, and as she spins, the needle then rips all of the thread out of.
Yeah,
his
you tear a bloody run down the back of his thighs, left holding a blood-soaked piece of string.
She's going to swear a bit. She's then going to take hold of the needle in one hand, just kind of get the other hand, and then just kind of squeeze the blood out of the thread.
The twine, yeah.
Roll it up, put it back in the air.
Yeah, there's a notable amount of the twine that's not there. The knot on the other end is not attached to the twine anymore. It's in the legs somewhere.
I'll leave that as a gift.
Yeah, let's say you had about 1 meter of twine to start with. At the very least. Now you have slightly less. But yeah, you
with a surprising amount of calm rationality, I'll just sort of look over this exploded head and the burst shoulder and go, sorry about that, didn't think it was going to go through that way. I thought it'd come out a bit lower, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. I don't suppose we've got anything to, plug the hole. I'm sure there's something around here.
I would raise the notable point that, Timmy, you have no idea what this man said to get shot in the face. So it would be entirely reasonable if, in the midst of the swearing, having actually just been shot by proxy, might be a little more angry, or at least a little confused.
I think Timmy's quite confused, and because she was quite enjoying herself, she doesn't wholly care what was said. She's a bit disappointed that it's over because she did sort of want to rip it out while he was still conscious.
Yeah. I just thought I'd bring this to mind.
So she's going to basically like tear some strips off of the many cushions that are scattered around, and start bandaging her shoulder, and just turn to Zeke and say, "So, what the fuck did he do?"
I got the feeling he wasn't telling us the truth. Didn't see the point in keeping him around.
But he's not going to tell us the truth now, is he? Right, where to now then? Did he give us any indication?
He said to go to Butts down the way and ask for Jasmine.
Sounds like a wholesome establishment. Are we gonna leave Lilith here? She seems like she's got stuff under control.
I'm sure. I'm sure Anita will be fine. Should probably go out the back way though.
I'm sure that's a traditional method of leaving this place.
Yeah. Is the dude still outside that we left on the stairs having a bit of a cry?
No. Actually, before you left him, before coming in, he actually buggered off down to the bar downstairs, nabbed a bottle of booze, and decided he would have the night off because his sort of. I'm not exactly sure what the terminology is here between between someone who's resident in a brothel and their favourite whore. But Eric was under the impression they were fairly serious, if not exclusive by any means. So, favourite? Yeah, he didn't care. There'll always be another meal ticket. He's a little upset, but he doesn't know yet. In sort of, in a place like Ooze Town, gunshots go off. It happens. And when it does, people tend not to come running immediately. They wait for the person who's done it to leave before they go and strip the bodies.
I can't remember. Did Anita have a rummage through his pockets last session? Or before we go, can I have a rummage through his pockets?
Yes, his jacket and his shirt are still over on the sideboard.
Yeah, I'll go and see what he's carrying.
Okay. Sure. Do you go through? Oh, fuck it. His shirt probably wouldn't have much in the way of pockets. His jacket is, is a fairly sort of heavy cloth sort of deal. I think we said it was denim. It's got all the pockets you'd expect of a denim jacket, and it's got a sewed-on red armband with a metal A on it. And yeah, you pick through the pockets. Well, where do you want to start? It's got,
I'll start from the inside and work out.
Okay. You pull open sort of the left breast pocket. The first thing you find there is a horribly crumpled block of tack. Apparently, it's like it must be like his emergency money. It's been pressed against a large man's sweaty chest for a very long time. It's technically still currency, but yeah, you don't really want to have to carry it with you, probably. Still currency, still good. It's technically still edible. It's just seasoned and crushed. In the same way as shortbread is when someone mails it to you from Scotland. It's utterly buggered, but it's still edible.
Buy us a beer.
Definitely buy you a beer or two.
Okay. I think I'll scoop that up and hand it to Timmy.
I shall secrete it in with the slightly rotting ear.
Excellent. I'm sure that will improve its value to people who may have to eat it in future.
It will only ever improve the taste, though.
I'm seasoning it.
Yeah,
Tastes
maybe.
like chicken.
Maybe. Yeah, you continue to dig through the pockets. You find he has he has a small box of loosely rolled sort of leafy tubes. They're sort of greyish brown. And so there's only 6 of them in this little box. It's slightly larger than like a box of chef's matches.
So sort of that size then.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I will secrete that box into a pocket and carry on going.
Okay. You also find you find an incredibly valuable artifact of the world before the desolation, in the form of one of those shitty round caliper lighters that's been jammed into a shotgun shell and chromed. You don't know why someone chromed it. They might have, to be fair, it looks like it's been chromed. It might have just been dipped in silver nail polish. Who knows? But needless to say, it looks dead flash. And it was probably used for lighting these leafy tubes. Whatever benefit one might gain from those, you don't know. And in the other pocket, you just find an extraordinary array of bottle caps and beer mats. It looks like it had a collection. a lot of these beer mats are post-distillation beer mats. So they're literally just like a scrap of anything that might be absorbent with beer
Okay.
written on it.
I'm going to leave those where they lie.
And a lot of
However-
them have like directions and names on them.
Yeah, I might sort of go through those and see if any names stand out to me later.
Timmy might go over at this point because she knows that Zeke might not be able to pick up on all of the place names.
Zeke wouldn't be able to pick up on any of the place names.
Yeah.
I've seen scribblings and gone, someone might be able to read that when we're not in a room with a corpse.
Yeah.
Yeah. In
So-
Zeke's inimitable style, he's looked at it and gone, that looks like writing.
Yeah, that says something.
If we put it in the bag, is the Scuzzle going to eat them?
He just shrugs. He's sort of on a crapshoot there. He is full of rat, but maybe.
So she kind of just goes, thank you. Puts them inside her coat.
The last thing I'm going to do while we're here is I'm going to rip the arm off the jacket with the A on.
Wonder where you were going there.
Yeah. So if need be, later we can remove the band and use it.
You are aware that everyone you've seen wearing these bands is wearing a blue jacket.
Oh. Maybe take the blue jacket then?
Is it not covered in blood?
No.
Mind you, I suppose they would.
It was sitting on the other side of the room.
Yeah.
And if it was covered in blood, it would just be a bodyguard who was doing a good job.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, it was sitting on the other side of the room. It's comparatively untouched. It's probably got some beer stains on it,
Okay.
among other stains. But
Yeah. I'm going to, in uncanny fashion, fold it neatly and place it next to Jerry in my bag.
okay. This point, I do have to mention this is a jacket that comfortably fit while zipped up. Might I add? It's a zipper front denim jacket for some reason. Because for some reason we said it was. That comfortably fit a man who is 4 feet across.
Okay.
And over 6 feet tall.
Maybe fold it under one arm.
Yeah. Folded neatly, this might be as big as your bag.
Okay.
It's a big jacket for a monumental man.
So if
Who
me
you
and
just shot
Timmy
in the
were to
face.
stand next to each other and walk in it, we might look like we fit it.
If you stood next to each other, if you stood so close to Timmy that you feared for your life and attempted to zip this thing up around you both, it would probably be a little tight and you'd look very odd. But the jacket's only like sort of 3.5 feet long. It's a waist fitting. It's a jacket that fits at the waist. It's not a long coat. You would just look very odd. You would look like two very best friends who were sharing a jumper.
Oh, okay, I'm sure we might find a use for it later, and/or it will get us in trouble. So
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I think we probably ought to scarp her reasonably sharpish because people are going to wonder why there isn't any noise.
yeah. I think with coat in hand, I'll head towards the door.
Okay, you head to the door. Well done. Right,
Does
so-
anyone notice as we try and exit?
Well, seeing as you're only like a couple of feet up these stairs, out in the first room up the stairs, directly off the main bar, yeah, people notice. You just fired a hunting rifle in a bedroom, like 15 feet from where they're sitting. The bar is nearly empty.
Okay, so I nudge Zeke at this point and start heading directly into the bar. And I'm just going to be like shouting, "Did anyone hear that shotgun? Is everyone okay?"
Yeah, I'll follow in and play along.
Yeah, yeah, you run in, like, is everyone okay? A hand reaches over the bar. You notice that its fingernails are elaborately lacquered. And it just a hand comes over the bar, does a thumbs up. You then notice the hand pouring itself a drink.
At which point, knowing that we've had a thumbs up, I'm just going to look at Zeke and very dramatically just say, "Well, we can't stay here if people are getting shot. That's not that kind of establishment. Let's leave."
Certainly, too right. Let's be off to some other fine establishment that Ooze Town is well known for, and not quite a run, but not an idle meander either. Head out of the front door onto the main street, the back door into the back alley.
Okay, you're going to engage at full mosey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Just that Assassin's Creed fast walk. It's not run, but you are a little suspicious. Yeah. You head for the back alley. You emerge out into the back alley, and most of the people you saw in here earlier are in the back alley. They are. Some of them are cowering behind what passes for a bin, in this area, which is essentially a large crate that's been, left with the lid off, and some of them have the word bin written on in charcoal, just so people know. Most of the patrons you saw earlier are out here, with the exception of the dude who takes drugs wrong, who was still in the bar on the floor with blood pooling from his nose. But that's how you saw him last, pretty much. So it doesn't raise much concern. But yeah, you see Eric, the boy who was taking the night off, sitting on a box down the end of the alleyway, just drinking the booze that you saw, drinking the booze that he nicked earlier, looking fairly unconcerned. You get the impression he's trying to catch your eye. But he's not moving.
Okay. I suppose we'll head out the alley that way and stop to see what he's after.
Killed him then. Yeah.
Zeke will just shrug. Did what needed doing.
You didn't fuck up my pillows, did you?
No, they're fine.
Wait a minute. That's one of my pillows. She points at the binding around Timmy's shoulder.
There's only one. You've got loads. Yeah, scatter pillows. I scattered them.
At least tell me my sideboard's alright.
Sideboard's good.
Yeah, sideboard's fine.
Good.
There's a little hole in the ceiling though. Might want to get that looked at.
Yeah, you might want to get some soap and water as well.
You made a mess.
Well, we didn't make a mess. He made a mess.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I understand, business is business. If you have to a fella, that's okay. But did you have to do it in my room?
It would be a bit obvious if we took him out of your room while he was hanging from a ceiling. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
what?
While he was nothing.
Feeling somewhat sorry for this poor boy. I think Zeke is going to sort of reach into one pocket and just hand him a tack. by way of apology, almost. This kid's not done anything in theory.
You hand him a single desultory tack.
Mm-hmm.
One. You give me one tack. You kill my man in my bedroom, and you give me one. Oh, fuck's sake.
I'll pat him on the head and sort of carry on out of the alley.
I'll give you 5 minutes.
I just sort of, as he says that, nudge Tilly at my back. In quite the obvious way, but not quite threatening, but not like I'll do you in threatening. Just remember.
It was him! He's the bastard! Shit goes down. Yeah. Little Eric jumps off the box and starts screaming blue murder. They shot Kurt! It was them!
So clearly,
Kurt's dead!
Timmy's heard this. And just looks him square in the eyes, takes out the nail gun, and shoots him.
Fuck's sake. Oh. Go on
In
then.
his poor, traumatised face.
Give it a try.
What are we rolling? I can't remember anymore.
I think it was small guns.
Yeah. It is small guns.
Yeah, and it's a nail gun, so it's not really designed for firing things any great distance.
No, it's a crit.
It's a crit.
It's a crit.
Excellent. It's a crit. Oh, fuck. For the sake of joy, what we should do is, in a moment of inspiration, you actually pull your aim down slightly, and you shoot him in the throat. Also because it amuses you. You quickly double tap him in the throat with a pair of nails, attaching his voice box to his spine directly. He falls to his knees, like he's bleeding profusely. He's gasping. He's people immediately. The people who were lurching forward to try and stop you immediately stop.
And just to make my point, I'm going to walk towards him, looking them all in the eyes, and then remove the nails, put them back in my pocket.
Oh. Give me a strength.
Maybe. Okay. 13.
One of the nails comes out. The other is resolutely attached to the guy's spine. You pull it. His neck goes crunch a bit, and he falls over. You do notice he's still breathing, mainly from the bubbles. Yeah. And everyone else in the alleyway, with the obvious exception of Zeke and Eric, who's laying on the floor dying, leaves by the other end. In almost no time at all, you're standing in an empty alleyway with a dying boy. I always say boy. He's probably in his mid-20s, but he's very sort of he's of a light frame and fairly effeminate.
Can I recover the tack?
He's not going to argue.
Yeah, you can recover the tack. You can recover the tack. It's now crumbled up and caked in blood. It's got bits of sort of larynx in it now. It was in the hand that he raised to clasp his throat. But yeah, you now have a blood-soaked crushed biscuit.
Does he have anything else on him?
No. he was literally a male prostitute who was on duty until about 20 minutes ago. He was wearing basically a sarong.
I'll take his bottle and wander out of the alley nonchalantly.
Sure, you want to take his sarong, every last shred of dignity? Leave him wearing only a nail in his spine?
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm going to remove the strong, and I am going to tie it round my shoulders.
Excellent.
Like a little scarf.
Yeah. Take his sarong and co-opt it as a sort of pashmina. Excellent. At which point you notice, not that it's of any particular interest to either of you, Eric is fantastically well endowed. Clearly he must have been a real favourite here. And he was probably doing quite well until you shot him in the throat and left him in an alleyway. He is still gurgling and moving a bit, but yeah,
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he seems to be. He's still moving and gurgling and bubbling.
I'm just going to give the nail a bit of a wiggle and help him on his way out. Put him out of his misery. I'm being kind.
Yeah, the nail doesn't wiggle. The nail is
I tried.
solidly in this bloke's vertebrae. There's a certain amount of give in vertebrae because they're surrounded by, flexible cartilage. But yeah, the nail isn't moving. The thing it's in is.
Okay. In which case, I've got a lot of blood on my hands now because.
Oh yeah. You're dealing
I'm
with a rushing throat wound.
Yeah, I'm going to use the fact that I'm profusely covered in masses of blood to just use my finger and write sorry on his torso, and then just kind of wipe it on the wall and wander off.
Yeah, he's long since passed out, face down, blood rushing from his throat in an alleyway, naked, and robbed. Congratulations on robbing a naked male prostitute who you just shot in the throat. I'm not going to reprimand you at all. It's not my place, but I will remind you that you're being terrible people. And in any sane society, you'd be in prison.
This is what happens when Loth isn't here.
Yeah, apparently. But yeah, you leave Eric, the only person in that bar who was nice to you, dying in a pool of his own blood. So yeah, you have an incredibly vague lead about 2 names to ask for in a different brothel, and 2 murder victims.
Right, to butts.
Considering that we're now both sort of caked in blood, what time are we on about now? Because it was only midday when we went in there.
Yeah, it's sort of like lunchtime. It's mid-lunchtime now. I think we mentioned when you came in to Bungo's that people were sloping off for a quick beer, and a few people were popping into Bungo's for their lunchtime beers. So yeah, it's probably sort of 1, half 1 at latest.
Being caked in rapidly drying blood.
As you both are.
Yeah. We should probably go and find somewhere we can clean up before trying to enter another establishment.
Yeah. You are essentially in the mercantile heart of this town. There are people in every direction. A great many. Well, about as many as you've seen anywhere.
In the alley we're in,
Mm.
I'm assuming the buildings kind of go reasonably straight up.
Reasonably.
Reasonably. Is there any way that we could climb up things to kind of like go along the rooftops so we're not actually seeing?
You can try.
Um,
I mean, the buildings are decidedly slapdash affairs. You know, largely made of sort of, you know, repurposed wood and panelling from boats, driftwood, and, you know, repurposed rubble. Yeah. Some are old buildings that have had like a few floors refurbished, but not all of them.
okay.
You know. You can try and like Assassin's Creed parkour your way to the top of the buildings and hop across.
No, not with my dexterity score.
Yeah. But this is
How big
decidedly
is
the sarong. The sarong is it's about the size of it's about the size of one of those towels that's left when you come out of the shower in a shared bathroom. You know, it's just long enough to encircle someone. Just. And you know, if you tie a knot in the top corner, the bottom corners don't touch because all of the slack's gone out of it. You know, you can sort of wear it as a mantle or as a sarong, but its coverage is more notional than factual.
I'm just wondering whether we could get away with dressing more like our friend was over there, hiding our clothes inside the rucksack and getting somewhere where we could wash, or at least wash them. I don't know that we'd be particularly obvious because, you know, there are people walking around in chainmail handing out tokens.
I mean, you could even go back into bungalows and see if you can find a chainmail shirt that would fit Zeke.
That face says no.
I'm just thinking, if this alleyway is suddenly abandoned due to the corpse at one end, or the soon-to-be corpse at least, I have a 2-litre bottle of scented water that could be used for a quick wash, enough to cover the fact that we are sort of coated in blood at least, and possibly brains.
I would say that it would probably be enough to have cleaned Timi of the splatter from Kurt, but having just shot a person in the throat at close range and then reached into the wound to fiddle with it. I mean Zeke has blood splatter. Timi has blood on her. Timi has been directly bled upon.
So if Zeke uses the water to clean the splatter off of him, what Timi could do, and she's really, really regretting when she set her character up, writing fuck underwear. So yeah, she's down to like shirt, shorts, boots, coat, and a hat. She's keeping the hat on. So she's gonna take the shirt and the shorts off, and roll them up because rolled they're smaller. And hopefully the old Scuzzle might be slightly less offended. And is going to make sort of a not probably very effective sarong. It might go sort of up there, maybe not very well, but it'll have to do, with the sarong, and hand over her terrifying clothes. And is going to just point out that with the bleeding shoulder, clearly this is my blood
Yeah. Yeah. If you manage to sneak out back through the front of Bungo's, you could be assumed to be from one of the other two brothels, because no one on this earth would wear that few clothes just wandering around their daily business on the south coast of England. But in that particular corner of the merchant district, you might blend in. Unfortunately, that's literally like 4 buildings next to each other. Yeah, it's chilly, especially in the shade in an alleyway. Zeke is aware that there's nothing left to the imagination whatsoever. He might be being a gentleman about it, I don't know. But so far he hasn't mentioned... Did you nick the shirt off of the dresser? You grabbed the coat, the jacket.
If the shirt was like still tucked into the jacket, I probably would have just bundled it all together. I wouldn't have been fastidious enough to take the shirt out and just take the jacket.
Well, I think it was probably chucked on top of it, but after I say it's all down to Zeke. But you do have a few awkward moments now, standing in an alleyway with someone who's literally wearing a sarong, like around their shoulders. That's only like a foot long. So you're essentially standing with someone who's naked who's literally clothed from armpits to navel.
She's still got boots on.
Oh yeah, fair enough. It depends. Are you enough of a gentleman to offer her an enormous shirt?
I'd offer her an enormous shirt and maybe a blue jacket as well.
Okay. I think Timi's probably going to take the shirt.
Yeah.
She's not wholly keen, even though she is still going to look like a prostitute in a shirt.
Yeah, but it's going to be a little more. It's going to be a little more of a sort of a morning after men's shirt sort of affair.
Yeah.
But then again, not a lot of people make tailored clothes, so people in non-outsized clothes would be normal. It's just whatever you can fucking get. You cut it down or you tie it up. Who cares?
Yeah, she's going to decline the jacket though because it's a bit obvious.
Yes, it's literally Kurt, the well-known gay, the well-known gay enforcer who you just murdered. And there are people running off, who are fully aware that Kurt has been murdered, who might be telling people.
Yeah, I think now would be the time to with Timmy's regular clothes in backpack and Jerry placated with the final skewer, head towards Butts. And
okay, so yeah, you've changed clothes. You've placated your pet. You've stood awkwardly as a woman basically gets naked in an alleyway next to you and offered her a shirt. Good job. You could just not killed people. That would have been the alternative. But yeah, as you do, finally some blue shirts turn up at the end of the alleyway, at your end of the alleyway, and there's a small group of them. Probably there's only sort of 5 guys, and in that way of people walking through a large sort of mercantile crowd, like one sort of glances down the alleyway briefly and keeps going, and then turns to talk to his mate, and then his head snaps back and he sees the 2 people covered in blood standing over a murdered prostitute. That line that's hung immortal in the English language since the days of Jack the Ripper. And you can see the cogs turning. He's not entirely sure what to say. Yeah, he might have been doing this guarding lark for years, but this is the first time that two people covered in blood have stood in an alleyway in broad daylight over the corpse of a murdered prostitute. Generally people have more sense. Something that might be stop or halt sort of emerges from his throat. It might be the same. It might be both words at the same time. Yeah, something in the general sort of linguistic region of stalt or holp.
So we're not as covered in blood as we were, but I know obviously this will quite obvious. So I'm going to Timi's going to walk up to him, knowing that she is basically not particularly clothed, and is going to maintain eye contact and just put a finger across his lips. Shh. He was paid handsomely. It's just business. You know, there are some things people like, and he was rewarded well for providing a service.
He's dead, right?
Some people have very specific tastes.
But Harold, go check that out. And one of the other guys runs down, flips him over. It's Eric. The boy tattoo. Or was it a brand? I think it was a tattoo. It shows up.
Tattoo.
Boy, B-O-I. It's like, it's one of Bungo's. And Harold comes back. I haven't seen you around here much, so you clearly don't know how this works. But the boys belong to someone. You can't just go around damaging the merchandise.
I think actually he was rather damaged by somebody he was with. Who's the large chap who was? There was three of them. Two large chaps went into a room. This one came out with God knows what sticking out his neck. And is bubbling away down the floor there. So he's managed to run down the stairs. One came running out, and then there's still one up there. He could be armed. Big chap, shiny thing around his neck. I didn't catch his name. Large voice.
Oh, Harold, take Dennis and go and deal with Kurt. He hasn't. Yeah, he's been at it again.
There was some sort of game, and they ordered some gentlemen, one large chap, and this poor thing. And we were just out here, and I was doing my thing, and
Two of the guards have now run up the alleyway and are going into the back door of Bungo's. The eponymous Harold and Dennis. You're standing there. What, Zeke? What are you doing at this point in time? And you're still standing there with a gun that smells of smoke. A recently fired rifle. But what are you doing exactly?
Other than sort of standing there and looking somewhat awkward, I think I'd be looking for the correct opportunity to just sort of disappear into the crowd. Sort of that lunchtime rush.
Yeah, there was a patrol of essentially 5 coppers between you and the lunchtime rush. At the mouth of like a narrow alleyway. You could possibly try and walk down to the other end of the alleyway, or force your way through one of the buildings that sort of opens onto it at the back.
Yeah, maybe a brief wander towards the other end, the other end of the alley, in vain attempts To pretend that I hadn't noticed these these 5 coppers turn up and
Well, 2 of them
engage.
have walked past you in this time. One of them pushed past you to go and look at Eric's body.
Sure, I'm just gonna walk out and head as if I was going towards the docks.
Give me a stealth. Give me a sneaky test.
Sneaky,
You're
sneaky
attempting to
test.
sneak past 3 coppers who have seen you at a crime scene. Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay. Yeah, you...
If it makes you feel any better, that is a 19 in total.
Yeah. Yeah, fucking hell. The scale only goes to 21. Yeah, you basically just vanish. You, screw it, yeah. You take 2 steps to your left and put your hand out to sort of nonchalantly lean against the wall for a moment, and you realise there's a door handle. And you turn it with possibly a little more force than grace, and after a moment's resistance it just goes sort of tung and turns, and you step into a well-appointed wood-panelled room off to the side, and close the door behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You step into what is, by all accounts, like a rustic kitchen, with lots of sort of wood utensils and wood panelling. You know, sort of slightly rough hewn, but well made, well finished, all varnished.
riding that crypt, can I head out of the front of whatever this place is and signal to Timmy that I am there without catching these coppers' attention?
That will take a little more doing, but you've currently sailed into the back room of this place without anyone noticing, and we will leave it there for the moment with you. Yes, Timmy, you are standing in an alleyway, explaining away a corpse.
Okay.
Give me a manipulate.
I was going to say, how many do I have?
You have 3
3.
coppers
3.
standing in front of you.
Okay. So I'm going to try and use my inspirational trait or perk. I'm not sure what it is. The idea here is that I want to convince them that they need to chase this fictional third person. So I am going to be standing there going, look, you have just interrupted my trade. I don't know what was going on, but I feel oppressed. You are looking after these boys, you never look after the women, and you are oppressing me. I am oppressed as a gender, and I don't get good clothes, and they get much better clothes. Like, we never get the chain mail. We want some chain mail too.
Oh, give me a manipulate first.
Bollocks. I'm going to burn a legendary point on that botch. So, that is... Give me a second. 18.
18. Shit. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. You spin this story of gender oppression and the guards only looking out for possibly the first time in all of recorded human history. Apparently, the policing force only looking out for the homosexual prostitute men. You know, giving them a vast amount of preference over the female prostitutes. But hey, why not? Give it a go. And the guys either side of the dude who initially, you know, basically the guys who feel you kind of get the impression are a little dozier, you know, kind of, you know, they want to go and have their lunch. they start nodding along and going, yeah, that's a good point, And, we do seem to be at bungos a lot, and they start sort of grumbling in a discontented fashion. The one in the middle, through all of this, is just looking at your horrendously bloodstained hands. With dried blood under the fingernails. He looks like he's struggling with this. When you come across a corpse and someone has so much blood on their hands that it's literally like ground into the grain of their skin, and he didn't see you helping.
It was too late to help by the time you got there. We tried to help him. That's why I had the blood all over me. And after this morning, when you wouldn't even come when this happened, I had to bandage this myself.
Did you by any chance open the shirt and show them the wound?
I've opened the shirt fully, completely just opened the shirt and gone, look.
Where's your mark?
Independent, dear.
So you've paid?
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't have to. Little bit of a long story. With the salties. Not with the salties anymore. Need to make a living.
So you haven't paid protection then?
Apparently not. Look at the shoulder.
Ah, well. That's a different story, Mum. And, the other two who were clearly agreeing with you before now look decidedly less well disposed towards you. They pull out something that you recognise well as a restraint for the arms. It's not handcuffs. It's a little more elaborate. It sort of it binds the arms to the elbow and holds them together. Preferably generally behind the back. It's used in and out of the bedroom in various places. You get the impression they probably bought it at a brothel. It's got tufts of fluff on it where the fuzzy bits have been ripped off. But yeah, and one of them makes a move to grab your arm. He's just like, if you'll just come quietly, we can get this all sorted out.
Okay. So he's actually made a move to grab the arm.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's holding an arm. He's holding a hand restraint, and he's going to strap it to one arm and then essentially get you in an arm lock.
Okay.
And bind it to the other.
Right, we're doing this then. Fair enough. Been abandoned. In a shirt. Screw it. Okay, so I'm going to just punch up. It's going to go straight up and straight up into the... Not into the nose, into the nose.
Alright.
Going quietly.
Yeah, give it a try.
Straight.
Well,
Grapple.
it's going to be a grapple at this point because he is grabbing your arm and you're attempting to punch him with it. Oh shit.
12.
Excellent. Well, he got a botch, so he's gone to grab your arm. Like, his fingers have briefly met around your wrist, and you've just gone BAM! While he's now got his fingers loosely around your elbow. You just never got a grip. So roll me up your basically your unarmed CC.
That's going to be 6.
Woo. Yeah, there's an ugly crunch. The The bloke lets go instantly. His hands clamped to his face, at which point he screams. Because everyone does that when you break their nose. They grab their nose and it hurts. Clearly this guy's nose hadn't been broken before. He stumbles back, tears in his eyes, whining. My nose! Get the bit! The other two hop at you. Truncheons are flailing.
Rightio.
For God's sake. Yeah, one just swings wide. Yeah, he goes to smack you on the head, but clearly his swing started when you started resisting, and by the time you finished your punch, your head wasn't in the same place anymore. The other, somewhat more cannily, strikes for your legs, and does in fact connect. For God's sake. Yeah, for 6 points. And if I read yes. You take 6 glorious points of damage to the leg.
Okay.
It sort of knocks your knee out from under you.
Okay. Do I still have my nail gun, or was that put away?
I don't assume you'd have anywhere to put it.
No, I would assume that it's kind of gone with the clothes. Okay.
I'd assume you probably rolled it up in your coat and shoved it in Zeke's bag.
Yeah. Okay. So I think as my knee goes, I am. Is there anything on the floor? I'm assuming people kind of chuck bottles. Oh no, we had a bottle out here, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Eric was drinking from a large unmarked bottle of clear booze.
Is the bottle within reach?
You could get to it quite quickly, but it's not currently in your reach.
Right. So I'm going to attempt to get to the bottle to pick it up.
Okay. Can I hear this scuffling from outside?
I'm going to say no. Because you walked in and resolved to walk through out the front of this place. This is happening as you're probably reaching the other side of this room, having closed a heavy wood door.
Okay.
But yes. You are... Well, screw it. Let's put it this way. You're going to... Timi makes a dive for the bottle. We get the cinematic moment of oh... time slows. The face, the close up on the face. You get the smash cut to the guards. It's grab her, and back to Zeke. Zeke, you're standing in a well-appointed wooden kitchen. Everything seems to be made of sort of thick, well-cut wood. Everything seems to be varnished. Everything seems to be in its place.
Okay.
You can see, you can see drinking horns hanging on the wall. You can see some kind of large animal on a spit over a fire. And at the other end of the room, there is a beaded curtain.
Is there anything like a cleaver or kitchen knife?
Oh yes, there is a rather lovely horn-handled cleaver stuck in a wonderfully clean block.
Yeah, I think, given the fact I don't know what's going on out there, and Timi may or may not have talked her way out of it, I think the cleaver might be a good idea just in case, as in an alley a cricket bat is a bit unwieldy and shooting in broad daylight is...
loud.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you're still resolved to stroll out through the front of this place?
Yeah, I'm going to avail myself of this cleaver and sort of secrete it away, so if I'm stopped,
Okay.
it's not immediately noticeable.
Okay.
And then wander out the front.
You're gonna Agent 47 it into the front of your jacket, like. Fair enough. So yeah, you slip it into the front of your jacket, and you step through the beaded curtain into one of the rooms, room towards the front of the building. Immediately, as you step into the front of this building, step through this curtain, you emerge into a very large, very clean, very tidy wooden hall. The room's not very wide, but it's quite deep, quite long. And in it there are two long tables with oil drums that appear to have been painted to appear like wood as chairs. And there are a number of place settings, each with its own drinking horn. And in this room there is upwards of 30 women. Some are dressed in the manner of most of the people you've come across here, in sort of mismatched, slightly dirty clothes that don't necessarily fit, perfectly everyday. And some of them are dressed in what you can only describe as a chainmail bikini. Some have, a slightly insulting sort of bikini breastplate sort of deal going on. Whereas some are just wearing elaborate contraptions made of leather. As you watch, you're not sure how these things work or what's holding them together. But as you step through the beaded curtain and it starts to rattle, 30 female heads turn and look at you. You are conspicuously the only man in this building. These glares are not altogether friendly.
Sorry, you seem to have taken a wrong turn. I'm new in town, you see. And how far is it from here to the front door?
Altogether too far for comfort.
Okay.
This room is clearly someone's attempt at recreating like a Viking mead hall with well-made, if rustic-looking components. So everything's quite well planned out, but you're behind a bar.
Okay. Just see myself out, shall I?
The looks grow noticeably more icy. Every word that comes out of your mouth is clearly making every person here angrier.
I'm going to go the way that I came. Back out into the back alley.
At which point, the first horn gets hurled at you. Swiftly followed by a knife, then a fork and a spoon and a bowl. By the time you manage to sort of get your arms up and start retreating, you're being pelted. Take an endurance physical. If you hadn't guessed, you walked into Rachel's House of Ribald Valkyries, the conspicuously not man-friendly, women-only brothel.
Endurance physical.
Yeah.
10.
10. That's not going to cut it, Milado. You're getting pelted with bottles and cutlery, and oh god, you take. Sorry. You take 9 damage.
That reduces me to -1.
Yeah, you get hit full in the face with like with a drinking horn with a metal rim. And it just catches you on the temple while you're trying to getting hit by soup bowls and things. You manage to fend off the best of the knives, but this metal rim just cracks you straight on the temple. And you just go down like a sack of shit. You hit the deck. The cleaver falls out of your jacket. They're like, he was fucking armed! You see the large burly woman standing behind the bar in what is, surprisingly from what you've seen of this place, a fully functioning suit of leather armor with metal sections attached. She starts towards you as your eyes dim, and the glorious oblivion of unconsciousness engulfs you. Hooray! I've knocked someone unconscious. Excellent. Back to the alleyway.
Oh, we're gonna die.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, right, you have dived for a glass bottle in a dirty alleyway.
Yep.
So first and foremost, let's have a dexterity.
Indeed. That is an 11, not natural.
Yeah, you dive towards this bottle. You land a little short, like Scrabble, briefly. You get a hand to it. You have an intact glass bottle. It still even has some booze in it.
Marvellous. Good. That means it's going to be reasonably sterile. So as soon as I have got that glass bottle, I am going to smash it on the floor. So I'm going to hold it by the neck and kind of smash it. And I am still sort of floor height. And I'm going to scrabble towards the first guy and punch up.
Oh, you take your you take your newly created Docker's knife, and turn around in an attempt to what should we say, negate this person's threat to the gene pool. So, roll me an armed CC against this poor man's crotch.
Okay, 1 on CC. Total 6, 7.
7. You swing this broken bottle up towards this guy's crotch. Unfortunately, it catches him in the knee as he's running. You notice as you swing, as the bottle hits his knee, that there's clearly he's clearly either got a fake kneecap, a false leg, or he's thought to pad his clothes. Because the glass just sort of crunches against his knee, and you don't see any blood. It does, however, throw the guy's gait off quite significantly. You've essentially just punched him in the leg very hard with something very narrow. And you sort of... Let's test. Yeah, you bowl him the fuck over. He rolled a 1. It hits him... You don't see any blood. He does sort of grunt, and he falls headlong over you and sort of rolls in the filth.
Okay. So at this point, I'm going to keep hold of my bottle. Would I be able to find the door that Zeke went through?
You don't know that he went through a door.
Can I look for a door?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're in an alleyway. The back doors of these businesses are all coming out onto this alleyway.
Okay. So basically, I'm going to kind of back my way along this alleyway. Just basically trying to look for a way out. And attempt to look for a door.
Give me a perception. As you back away, frenziedly looking around.
9.
9. You notice there's a gap between the buildings. It's not very wide. And it's really not very wide. But, it's there. clearly at some point the buildings were further apart from each other. As things sort of settled, they sort of bowed towards each other a little more.
Okay. Yeah, so it's got to be better than parting with these guys. So, yeah, I'm going to head for it.
Excellent. Yeah, you bust into a run. Give me a reflex. This guy's going to attempt an attack on you as you turn to leg it, the other guy. Second truncheon fella. Forget it. He swings wide. He rolled a 2. There's nothing on earth that's going to save from that unless you botched and like dived at him or something. Yeah. You hear this person becoming increasingly annoyed. He's now missed twice. He's just whiffing this thing. You know, the guy on the floor holding his knees, like, get your fucking eyes checked, Frank. Yeah. Don't think it's gonna be that easy. You won't get away from me, says Frank. And he sort of starts to run towards you. He starts to try and make a lot after you. But yeah, you've got a very narrow sort of gap between buildings. It's not quite an alleyway. It's more of an oversight architecturally. People just didn't build. They didn't want to build buildings that touched because of fire, but they didn't want them to be too far apart because if your building falls over, at least you have something next to it to lean on. Yeah, you managed to squeeze down this alleyway. There isn't really a check to work out how fast people are going to be moving, so fuck it. It's narrow. Strength through it. You need to push your way through this thing. Right? It's close. You're pushing past rough-hewn planks and bits of broken metal.
Okay, 10.
10. Oh Jesus. Yeah, Frank clearly just gets stuck almost immediately. It's another 1.
Ooh.
Frank has now rolled a 5, a 3, a 2, and a 1.
That is time for dice jail right there.
Yeah. But hey, yeah, Frank gets stuck almost immediately. The padding under his jacket that saved his mate is stopping him getting any further than 2 steps down this sort of this narrow walkway. His elbow is caught up here as he was still trying to wave his truncheon. He just looks bloody pitiful. He's still sort of shouting and swearing and groaning, mainly about the fact he's stuck. As you emerge from the other end of the little walkway. I know there's a word for this, and I can't think what the fuck it is.
Not a twitten.
No.
It's
just a word for an alleyway.
It is a word for an alleyway. Oh no, because it's an alleyway with trees.
Fair enough. Yes, you pop out the other end of this narrow sort of walkway area, and yeah, you leave these 5 guards behind. Probably not for very long. They're not actually out of action or anything, and 2 of them wandered off on their own. But yeah.
So yeah, I'm not particularly comfortable just being on my own in a shirt with no weapons. I don't tend to spend a lot of time without a weapon. So
you're currently standing between the frontages of Bungo's and Rachel's.
Okay, so I'm not going into Bungo's because we left a corpse in there. So I'm going to go to Rachel's.
Okay, yeah. You turn and I don't think we ever examined Rachel's before from the front. So, are you going to have a quick look at it, or are you just going to burst in through the doors?
No, I want to make sure that I'm going in somewhere where I might feel a bit more welcome.
Okay, yeah. You turn to clearly you pop out this little alleyway. You look around to see where you are. You see Bungo's to your left, and fuck that, to your right. And you see what is clearly meant to be a large shield in medieval fashion, with a pair of crossed drinking horns and a large female symbol on it. and the sign reading Rachel's. I think it was Rachel's house, but I prefer Rachel's hall. Rachel's Hall of Ribald Valkyries. And there are two ladies standing out the front, both fairly heavily muscled, but nonetheless very attractive. One has her hair shorn almost completely to the scalp, and you notice she has the word Valk tattooed on her neck. And they both seem to have little flushes of little like cuffs of feathers worn around their ears. It just seems to be what they do. And as you move towards them, one of them smiles and looks you up and down, and the other goes, "Too femme," and just ushers you in. But yes, you get ushered in through. It's meant to be the impression of large, impressive double doors. It is, however, just two very narrow doors in a standard doors like frame. But nevertheless, it opens inwards, and you are confronted by a scene of fucking pandemonium. Actually, you're confronted by the scene of 30 women throwing bowls and cutlery and shoes and anything that comes to hand, including items of Valk's clothing, in the general direction of this beaded curtain behind the bar. One of them saying something along the lines of, "Take that, you ex-wire, fucking breeders, coming in here, always wanting to touch our girls. He was even armed. Did you see it? He had a fucking cleaver."
Okay, so I'm going to head on over, and try and kind of blend in a little bit, and ask one of the girls at the back, "What are we doing?"
There was a man in here. A bloody man.
What did he look like?
Well, he was sort of, they give an impression of man. Basically, you get the impression this person probably wasn't close enough to see. It's like, you get the impression the description is somewhat similar to Zeke, but they clearly describe a man 6+ feet tall, with a hungry gleam in his eye, drooling at the mouth, with a raging erection in hand. They draw like the worst and least flattering picture of like a raving, uncontrollable breeder.
So, I'm going to kind of go slightly closer to the ones that are throwing the cutlery and shoes, and say, "Have you got anything to throw? Let me help you."
Yeah, one of the Valks, unclips her steel breastplate and goes, "Have at it, love," and just chucks it to you sort of underarm gently. She's wearing sort of something leather wrappings underneath. She's not going to chafe herself to death for anyone.
So I'm going to go like run towards the main area with like breastplate in hand, to see if I can kind of work out if this is who I think it is. Am I close enough to see him yet?
You'll have to hop a table first, but we'll assume you have. You've climbed over a table. You're running along with this this slightly over a foot wide slab of steel. It's probably quite clearly been pounded out of a larger piece, sort of pressed out. It's not particularly great quality by any stretch. But you run over and you're with it over your head, giving all impressions you're about to smash it down onto someone, and you get to the bar and there's the crumpled form of Zeke under a pile of crockery and the odd boot, and one of those theatrical Viking hats that Vikings never wore.
Okay, so as soon as I see it's him, I'm going to run towards him, and just shout, ladies, you really don't have anything to worry about with this guy. All he's concerned about is his scuzzle. And I'm just not going to give them any context.
Okay. The previously mentioned very, very large lady in entirely functional, not particularly fanciful armour. Turns around. She's like, well, what's he doing in here then, love?
Well, he was probably running away from the dudes in the blue jackets. They lost it. Absolutely lost it. I came in here to see if someone could maybe help clean me up. You know, bit of comfort. I didn't realise he was in here, but he's really no harm, honestly. But he does have my tack, so maybe we could do a bit of an exchange.
Oh, we don't allow men in the hall.
Is there somewhere he could maybe go that isn't in the hall? Just not pelted with metal?
Before she just turns to the room and is like, all right, girls, calm down. Yeah. So, it's just a runaway from bungos. Calm. He's no threat to us. Yeah. Gradually, the pelting, it descends to softer items, and gradually ceases. At which point you start to hear the door of the kitchen rattling out the back. Someone's finally grasped that this is an easy way to get round. Maybe it was Frank. But yeah, someone's starting rattling the door handle at the back. The woman was just like, fine, take him upstairs. Get him out of the hall. We can't have people knowing we let a breeder in here. Ugh. She grabs him easily, handily by a single leg. And just drags him across. And she's just, by the time she gets to the other end of the bar, she one-handed flips the hatch open, just throws him to the base of the stairs. The layout of this place is very similar to Bungo's. There's a stairs immediately to the left of the bar, next to the main door, so you can just walk in and go straight upstairs. But yeah, this point, two of the Valks, looking decidedly browned off at the idea of having to entertain a fellow in this place, come over and offer to help you take him upstairs.
So once we have deposited him somewhere where he can sleep off the pelting, I'm going to ask one of the Valks, is there a chance maybe I could exchange a couple of tack for somewhere I could, a bath or something?
And the large lady's like, of course, love. Us girls have to look after each other. Can't have. I couldn't have my girls going around covered in, God knows what. Who knows? After all, this heavily meat diet, it's not all that kind on us, is it, love? She points up the stairs, and one of these ladies has the Valk tattoo. Is quite clearly suffering a little bit from acne. She's a little bit on the younger side, and clearly all that pork fat hasn't been doing much for her complexion. So yeah. There's clearly washing facilities. She's like, you just take them up. In fact, he might be the better for it as well. Actually, he definitely would be. It's like, go up, third door on the right. It's like, Freya, Frigg, you help him. The two girls. They they grab Zeke by the shoulders and just sort of, by the coat, and just sort of pull him upstairs. His feet bashing on the steps as they pull him up, and they. when the girl at the top of the stairs opens the door, the third door on the right, and you can see us, and you can see, oddly, I mean, I seem to remember Timmy's a dweller, isn't she?
Yes.
For the first time
No, she's
since
not,
you...
she's not.
No, is she not? Is she not now this time? Okay.
No, she was wondering.
Okay. For possibly the first time in your life, then, you see that rarest of things, the foggy haze of warm air leaving a shower room into a cool corridor, and the smell of soap sort of billowing out, and this plume of warm, wet air. And they're like, just in here, love. I don't suppose you want some company.
So at this point, Timmy is just kind of staring at the steam. It's just so pretty.
Yeah.
And just kind of wanders in without saying anything. Neither confirming nor denying.
Okay. Yeah. Freya comes inside but stands near the door. I mean, she's not she's not going to do anything until she knows she's being paid. So, And yeah, Zeke is laying on the floor, the damp, tiled floor of a room that quite clearly has some form of running hot water.
So, does Zeke still have his bag?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Zeke still has his bag. He still has everything. They just beat him unconscious and then dragged him upstairs. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So, obviously, there's not an awful lot I can do to return him to consciousness. But what I am going to do is to remove the stuff from the bag, and just kind of take his coat from him, and start washing it. Just everything. Everything is going in the wash in this lovely warm water. Okay.
At this point, Freya is going to pick him up, like grab him by the lapels, and just dump him in a trough of warm water. Yeah, Zeke, you feel blessed consciousness return to you in like a thundercrack of pain and heat, and bright lights suddenly dimmed by immersion in water. You go from uncomfortably unconscious to uncomfortably drowning. Before you're lifted by your lapels back out of the water, to behold this heavily muscled young lady wearing what might go for theatrical leather armour in the eyes of like Frank Frazetta at some point in the mid-70s, but to everyone else just looks like S&M gear. Blessed angel, glorious consciousness, and on that note we'll end. As you have a bath. So yes, we have made it from the grand total of upstairs in a brothel to upstairs in a separate brothel 2 murders later. Oh, god damn it, you guys. A killer piece. And then you ran away from the combat. God. Right. So yes, well, we might as well do the outro then, shouldn't we? Right. That was wonderful. I was Thirsty. You can find me on thirsty_BTP on Twitter. You can find me on bloodthirstypuppets.co.uk. You can find me here on Mondays and Fridays. Spanners, you.
Yes, so I am Spanners. You can find me on Twitter on Spanners_BTP. You can find me here on Mondays, and that's about it at the moment. Other places, but for less exciting stuff. Less murder.
I would hope so.
Maybe. Depends. Yeah, generally.
Right. Eivor.
I've been Eivor playing Zeke. You can find me on Twitter at Eivor_DNABC. Here on Monday nights and in the Nebulous North.
Excellent. We shall be back, and hopefully we're joined by Lilth, but missing an Eivor next week, isn't it?
Unfortunately, so I'm travelling to the den of debauchery that is the South next Sunday, and we'll be travelling back on Monday evening.
See, this is what we get for having lives and having to go places. I mean, I'm always here. I don't have a life, but you know, but all you people. But yeah, anyway, thanks for playing. For those of you who did watch, thanks for watching. And Crone, thanks for making basically the only comment in chat. So, yeah, that is an outro slide. Ta-ra.
See you downstairs, Crone.
Oh, God. You still haven't got to butts.
We still haven't got to butts.
Which is spelt with two T's and an E. Technically making it buttes. Oh.
And potentially hire a prostitute unexpectedly. I didn't mean to do that.
Well, this is a space free from judgment. Apart from all that judgment about you murdering that guy in an alleyway.
And the one upstairs as well.
Yeah, but there's a convincing argument for him having made you angry, or at least exposed the gap in your reasoning. Where's Herbert? On your head. Bang! I didn't want to hear that answer. Oh,
that was brilliant.
yeah. Well, thanks for that, guys. I definitely needed that injection of madness in my life.
Oh, that was so much fun.
Yeah. Right. And that should be that.